player, a manager. We're getting ready to learn all of that. Tad Myers here, commissioner of the Pee Wee Reese chapter of SABR.
SABR.
Okay, and that stands for
Society of American Baseball Research.
There you go. That
We
is
call it SABR.
SABR. Everybody knows Greg Galliette. He is the president and CEO of the Louisville Bat. So this is really interesting. Sometimes you ever have one of those moments where you go, why don't I know this? Getting that information that you all sent to us, I'm like, why don't I know this? Tad, you have all of this information and you want to make sure people know it. And it's mainly about Felton Snow. Who is he?
Well, Felton Snow was a baseball player who moved to Louisville when he was about 10 years old and played in the Negro Leagues. Played for 21 years in the Negro Leagues. He was also a manager. He was an all-star. He was a really good ball player. And he retired in 1945, which was a couple of years before. That was the very year they signed Jackie Robinson to the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Did he get to see that, do you know?
I'm sure he got to see a Major League Baseball game, but he never got to play.
What?
And actually, Felton was a manager and a player on some traveling teams in the wintertime that went down to Cuba and Venezuela. Actually played with Jackie Robinson and Roy Campanella and Satchel Paige.
Satchel Paige,
on those
that
traveling
name I
teams.
know.
So, and through his career in the Negro Leagues, he played with some other really famous Cool Papa Bell and some really high-profile Negro League players. And here in Louisville, he played on both the Louisville White Sox and the Louisville Black Caps, which were the two entries into the Negro Leagues back in the 30s. So we're kind of honoring him as a focal point of all Negro League players. It's something we thought should have been done a long time. Of course, we have Jackie Robinson's number, already retired at Louisville Slugger Field, along with Pee Wee Reese's number. We thought it was fitting to honor all Negro League players that we symbolize that by retiring Felton Snow's number 2.
When I see the relationship of Jackie and Pee Wee, I get so emotional. I mean, Pee Wee stood up for him.
He did.
And I don't think I could have been Jackie Robinson. I don't know. I got a little bit of when I'm done with you, I just, my little temper comes out. But he did things that I think most of us couldn't do. The world does not know much. I think some people may, so I'm just saying most generally, people don't really know about the Negro Leagues. Would you agree with that, Tad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we're learning more because Major League Baseball and the Baseball Hall of Fame and SABR has really dedicated a lot of their research and publication efforts to the Negro League, and Negro League statistics have now become Major League Baseball statistics. But there's also a museum in Kansas City, Negro League Baseball Museum, which is a fantastic source of information, gathers all kinds of information and pictures, and that has grown in popularity and size in recent years.
And Dawn, how this all really kind of came together is Minor League Baseball really wanted to focus as a community of all 120 teams. We wanted to really honor the pioneers of black baseball, Negro League baseball, across not only major league cities, but also the minor league cities, especially the ones throughout the South. That's why this program was created, and it's actually called the 9. And the reason it's called the 9 is because that is the number Jackie Robinson wore for his 1 year he played minor league baseball in Montreal.
Oh, I love
so
that.
It brings all the minor league communities together and allows us to then look inside our own communities, focus on whatever our history might be with African American baseball, and shine a light on that. And that's really how this all began last winter, and that's how this night really became what it is going forward, and it'll culminate with a big night coming up this Friday night at Louisville Slugger Field.
Well, my heart breaks when I think about all of the Negro players who could have been on that field and done big things if, I don't even know how to say it, if we would have looked beyond their skin. That's the stupidest thing in the world. That's the only way I know how to say it. Stupidest thing in the world.
Very talented athletes.
When you think of these athletes and the only reason they weren't allowed to play is because they look like me.
And so Felton retired, the picture you have of him in Venezuela is in 1945. Jump forward 20 years, which for somebody my age is a blink of an eye. The best players in the major leagues are Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Frank Robinson, Bob Gibson, Roberto Clemente. These are all guys that 20 years before would not have been on a major league.
You wouldn't have been able to see them. They probably wouldn't be allowed to go into the ballpark. So you've got some big things coming up. Talk about those.
Well, starting with Thursday, I'll let Tag go
That's
with that.
Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern
At the Great Marker
Cemetery.
site.
Yeah, in Eastern Cemetery, we're going to have a dedication of a new monument that we're putting up. Felton Snow was buried in an unmarked grave.
Oh, God, that
And,
breaks my heart.
Eastern Cemetery is kind of racked with scandal, and there's a very good charitable organization, Friends of Eastern Cemetery, who we've worked with to get this done, and with Evans Monument, who's been delightful and also helped out with some of the financing. We've raised money from the Urban League, we've raised money from the Bats, from Louisville Slugger, from a variety of SABR members to pay for this monument, and it is going to be put up in time for that. We're going to unveil the monument at the ceremony. Mayor Fisher is going to be there and read a proclamation, and Larry Lester, who is a known authority in Negro League Baseball, will be there and kind of lead the way.
And Greg, you've got a game coming up.
It'll culminate on Friday night. We have a game featured on the 9, and obviously prior to that game, we'll retire Felton Snow's number.
Yes.
Along with his family members will be on hand to take part in that, and that's just part of the program for that night. And then actually the following week on Friday the 16th, we'll actually be showing in our stadium while the Bats are away the movie 42 on our video boards that Friday night.
Oh my
to
God.
kind of culminate the whole organization of events that we've put together here. So.
I sat in that movie 42 and wept, and then looked at my mom and said, I'm bringing every child that wants to see this movie, and I got buses. And
speaking of buses, we partner with TARC.
oh
And
yeah,
they're going to be bringing 200 kids from the West Louisville Sports Complex out to our game on Friday night so that they can be on hand and be part of this whole ceremony.
And just Nate Payne couldn't make it today. He's one of the
Yes.
two coaches, Nate and Howard Jones, who kept baseball alive in the West
In the
End.
West End.
And the reason he can't make it is he's working hard and he tries to fit it all together.
and, well, I have to tell you, the Nate, who's always working hard. I'm glad you brought that up. Again, you all, if we can show the time, September 1st at Eastern Cemetery, 1 p.m. That's on Baxter Avenue. And then Friday, 7 p.m., 7:05, the game will start. Louisville Bats baseball game. We always love our Louisville Bats. And Charles Gazaway is the voice. He's here in Wave. He's part of the Wave family.
You'll hear him that night.
You will hear him that night. Thank you all
Well, thank you for having us.
so
you.
very much. You all remember that, and if you can, be part of it. Greater Louisville United Labor Picnic is coming up. We'll tell you all about it. Stay with us.